Good evening, I'm Matt Hines, and these are the headlines. Just a few short weeks ago, the White House had responded to an NBC News report regarding H.R. McMaster. That report stated that he was about to be fired. The White House official response was fake news, which, by the way, is usually how you know it's 100% true. It keeps getting proven time and time again. The White House went on to say that McMaster was doing a, quote, great job. Flash forward to today, when through Twitter, the President of the United States announced that McMaster would be replaced by John Bolton, a move that the White House now says has been in the works for some time. McMaster, you may recall, replaced Michael Flynn when he was forced to resign after revelations that he had lied. He was under federal investigation. Flynn, of course, is now a cooperating witness in the Mueller probe, which is looking at collusion and meddling in the 2016 presidential election. If the name John Bolton sounds familiar to you, it's because George W. Bush made him the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations during a recess appointment in 2005. That recess appointment was necessary because Bolton had such a poor reputation, largely due to his really abrasive style, that not even in a Republican-controlled Senate could Bolton get approval. Bolton was later found to have lied multiple times on forums relating to his appointment to the UN, lies revolving around his being subject to an investigation by the State Department regarding those alleged weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. So, natural fit for the Trump administration, it sounds like. He'll fit in perfectly at the White House, unlike H.R. McMaster, who was recently quoted as calling Trump an idiot. Also, much like recently fired Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, who was quoted as calling Trump a fucking moron. Tillerson was also fired via Twitter, by the way, because that's how serious people do things, through Twitter. Bolton has spent the last several years running a super PAC, which works to get conservatives elected around the country. The super PAC spent $2.5 million during the 2016 race, and has paid Cambridge Analytica, actually, at least $1.1 million since 2014. So the Trump-Cambridge Analytica connections just keep on coming. Bolton's super PAC was actually amongst the first political committees to report paying any money to Cambridge. This is according to the Center for Public Integrity, which is a wonderful organization. It's unclear at this time what, if anything, will happen to the super PAC now that Bolton is Trump's new national security advisor. Something thinks business as usual. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, a Fox News national security analyst, has abruptly quit the network, blasting the channel as, quote, a propaganda machine for a destructive and ethically ruinous administration, end quote. That doesn't sound like the Fox News I know. Peters added that, quote, over my decade with Fox, I long was proud of the association. Now I am ashamed. He also spoke of taking the oath as a newly commissioned officer some 4 decades ago, in which he swore to support and defend the Constitution. Peters has stated now that he believes, quote, Fox News is assaulting our constitutional order and rule of law while fostering corrosive and unjustified paranoia among viewers. Fox News, not surprisingly, responded by talking about their high ratings. The NRA has released a new unhinged ad featuring a black guy. They found a black guy. Oh my God. A black guy with a gun that they're not afraid of. I'm shocked. This ad attacks the Florida teens who, of course, just witnessed their friends get murdered in cold blood. And they are now the subject of ridicule for having an opinion about that. Very, very sick country we live in right now. We're not really going to talk about the ad. Don't look for it. I'm just sick of people attacking these kids. Fuck the NRA, all right? Speaking of, new polling out now shows that Americans, for the first time in nearly 20 years, have a net negative view of that killing organization. This is according to a new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, which says that 40% of Americans have a negative view of the NRA, while 37% have a positive view. The other 23% couldn't respond as they were fleeing bullets. In April of 2017, 45% had a positive view, 33% had a negative view. Similarly, a recent Quinnipiac poll found that 38% of Americans thought the NRA supports policies that are good for the U.S., while 51% said the group supports bad policies that are bad for the U.S. The biggest shifts in these numbers actually came from moderate Republicans and white women, regardless of party affiliation. Of course, I think we all pretty much know that white women are what put Trump over the top in the 2016 race. Speaking of which, on the flip side of this, the president's approval ratings are actually up. FY Society's True Poll data shows his overall job approval rating currently at 39%, which is up a tick from our previous recording of 38.66. His disapproval numbers also improved. Now just 55.33% of Americans disapprove of the job he is doing. How is it possible that 39% approve of the job Trump's doing? Well, they're all Russians. There you go. You can find more polling data on our website under the Mood of America section. And hey, look, it can't all be shit news, so let's just pause for a moment, and I'll tell you about an 87-year-old grandma who uses Microsoft Paint like a boss. No, I'm very serious about this. Concha Garcia Zaera discovered the program after her children gave her a computer. Ms. Zaera told El Mundo, quote, "My husband fell ill and I had to take care of him, so I couldn't go out very often. I began painting little things first, a house. The next day, I'd add a mountain." Despite the works that you're seeing now, Zaera tells the paper that she has, quote, "no imagination at all," and gets her inspiration from postcards that her husband used to send her. She spends about 2 weeks on each piece and puts intense focus on the little details. You can find more of her truly amazing artwork on her Instagram page, which we'll put up on the screen, and we'll also link to from the website. All right, so back to the shit. The feds are tracking black activists. This is according to a report from The Root. Federal law enforcement agencies refer to these activists as, quote, black identity extremists, and warn of the dangers of black supremacists, believe it or not. This isn't some conspiracy theory. It's something called the Race Paper, and we know about it thanks to a Freedom of Information Act request for documents concerning the FBI surveillance of groups related to Black Lives Matter. Now, the government responded to the request with the release of just a trove of documents showing that the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have been tracking activities of people involved with and around Black Lives Matter since the uprising in Ferguson, Missouri. The release of these emails and documents does read something like a conspiracy theory, however, with federal departments sending warnings out to law enforcement in all 50 states, warning of pending disruptive and violent acts that never occurred. We do, however, know of one person who was arrested as a result of these investigations, a man named Christopher Daniels, who was arrested on December 12th, 2017, when federal agents stormed into his home, arrested him in front of his 15-year-old child. According to Foreign Policy magazine, the Fed seized 2 guns and a book called Negroes with Guns. At his hearing, the FBI stated that Daniels came across their radar when they noticed him in a video posted by a right-wing fringe conspiracy website. The video is of a police brutality protest. In this video, he was allegedly seen chanting, "The only good pig is a dead pig. The only good pig is a dead pig." So, surely law enforcement worked very hard to change his view of them. They didn't. They found some bullshit probation violation thing to charge him with from 2007. So, well, fuck them too. All right. There's much more to this story at The Root. It's a fabulous publication. We'll put a link, of course, to it at our website, which is at fysociety.net. Check it out. We know that this administration has slapped tariffs on steel imports, which so far are throwing the world economy into chaos. Which is just what we need after recovering from the Great Recession around the world. Things are starting to get stable. Let's just screw it up here. In a related story, this is reported by the Wall Street Journal. This is sad too, because I like me some Burr. American Cake Company, which is the only remaining U.S. manufacturer of stainless steel beer kegs, has been forced to lay off 1/3 of its employees. They say this is a result of Trump's tariffs. So just pause here real quickly. Trump has this reputation of being so great for U.S. business and the economy is booming. You'd have to be an idiot not to see that. Of course, it was booming under Obama. This is just kind of a continuation of our slog out of that deep recession. But Trump does something very interesting where he'll make a big announcement about some positive economic news that turns out just to not be true. It's like after the tax cut plan was passed and came out and said, Walmart's getting everybody a $1,000 bonus, and they're laying off thousands of employees. So you don't get the whole story until a few days later. Same thing with Carrier. Remember that during the campaign, Trump saved Carrier and saved all the jobs. And bullshit, okay? It didn't happen. So if you're still of the mind that Trump is some brilliant economist, I really don't know what to say to you other than you should really find a new source for news. He's not a good business person at all. Knows nothing about the economy. He knows how to save himself, but don't let me get off on too much of a tangent here. That's not really what this show is, Matt. Now, Bob Corker, Republican of Tennessee, has made a remarkably candid comment, actually, as to why Republicans in Congress seem to be so hesitant to protect Mueller from a potential Trump firing, that is. And this is interesting. When asked, Corker said this, quote, "The president is, as you know, you've seen his numbers among the Republican base. It's very strong. It's more than strong. It's tribal in nature. People tell me who are out on the trail, say, look, people don't ask about issues anymore. They don't care about issues. They want to know if you're with Trump or not. Even by political standards, this is stunning. They would rather keep Trump supporters in their corner through the midterms than protect democracy itself from what we now know for sure was an attack on our elections by a foreign country. Trump currently enjoys an 80% approval rating among Republicans." While on vacation in Antarctica, photographer Alex Cornell captured a remarkable sight. While exploring Sierra Cove, a glacial bay off the peninsula, a scientist on board Cornell's boat became very excited by a particular iceberg. And as I got closer, Cornell says she realized why. This iceberg had flipped upside down, exposing a glassy, vivid, aqua green mass with water flowing through it, which Cornell compared to an ant colony. Now, it's highly unusual for an iceberg to flip like this, but has become more common now due to climate change. It's still a rare and stunning sight. Regardless of why it happened, it's awfully cool to look at. Shifting back to unsettling news about the GOP, I get the feeling there's going to be a lot of that here. Not by design. It's just the way it is right now. A proud and open Nazi has just won the Republican primary in Illinois. Arthur Jones is a Holocaust denier who won because the state Republican Party could not find anyone to challenge him for the 3rd congressional district seat which he seeks. The 3rd includes parts of Chicago and its suburbs. The Illinois Republican Party has shown more spine here. Actually, we want to give them credit big time for this, bigly for this. They've shown some spine here, certainly more so than the National Party, which we just discussed, a bunch of cowards. These guys, the Illinois Republican Party, actually paid for robocalls against their own candidate, urging voters to, quote, "Stop Illinois Nazis," end quote. Arthur Jones is not a real Republican. He is a Nazi whose disgusting, bigoted views have no place in our nation's discourse. This was Tim Snyder, the Illinois Republican Party chairman. Could you imagine such strong language coming from any national Republican, particularly one that works in the White House? It's unfathomable, and it's refreshing. It's amazing that I'm giving Republicans so many kudos for coming out against a Nazi. I mean, could you even imagine such a thing? Oh, God, let's give him a goddamn trophy. GOP candidate troubles do not end there, however. Fresh out of prison, coal baron, all around nice, normal, salt-of-the-earth guy, just like me and you, Don Blankenship, appears to be on the fast track to winning the West Virginia Republican Senate primary in an effort that's really best described as a personal vendetta against Senator Joe Manchin, who is the Democrat currently holding that Senate seat in West Virginia. Now, Blankenship went into prison in 2016 for conspiring to evade safety laws in the lead up to the 2010 explosion, which you may remember, I certainly do, unfortunately, at Upper Big Branch Mine. This explosion killed 29 miners. To put that another way, 29 human beings are dead due to negligence for the sake of profits. At least that appears to be the findings here. Blankenship spent 1 year in prison after being prosecuted by the Justice Department for his role in the explosion. Manchin was the governor of West Virginia at the time of the explosion, and he'd called for a probe into the laundry list of safety violations which came to light after the explosion. Blankenship has spent over $1.1 million of his own money on the campaign so far, including several $100,000 on a PR blitz meant to clear his name. Now, the coal baron is out to convince West Virginia voters that he's anti-establishment, that he's one of them, mostly because of his deep loyalty to President Trump, who you may recall won the state of West Virginia with 68% of the vote. Now,
you can actually buy this book starting right
and
now.
finally tonight, we end with a report that should make you smile. If you watched John Oliver last week, you might recall him lambasting Vice President Pence and his family's new book about a bunny who spends a day with Mike Pence. What a stupid, horrible idea for a book. Just who the fuck would read that, honestly? Now, John Oliver's book is actually the #1 book on Amazon. It's already sold over 180,000 copies. It is surpassing the sales for Pence's book. The John Oliver book is titled A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo, and it's a love story in which the vice president's gay rabbit falls in love with another male rabbit. The book, which was written by Last Week Tonight scribe Jill Twiss, serves as a brilliant antidote to the notoriously homophobic future half-term president. Until next time, this is Matt Hines with FY Society. I'm signing off. Hit subscribe so you can be in on the loop for future broadcasts. We're going to try to cover the news that the mainstream media or just the news, whatever, in general isn't covering because Trump is sucking all the air out of everything. Glad they're covering it, but we don't need to focus on that quite so much. Even though we had a few pieces tonight that were Trump-centric, I wouldn't expect that to be totally commonplace unless it's stories that, again, just aren't really getting the coverage that they deserve because of all the other chaos that's going on. Anyway, subscribe. Visit us at fysociety.net. If you'd like to help us, Lordy, we could use your help. Consider a donation through our Patreon account. And there's a link on our website, of course. Or click through our Amazon link and go do some shopping. That's definitely the easiest way to show a little support for what we're trying to do here. In the meantime, thank you, and good luck to us all.